Hi chickens! Today I wanted to have a brief chat with you about the Ace of Wands, or in fact just what the Ace of Wands represents. The Ace of Wands tends to represent a spark, an overwhelming outpouring of desire, of motivation to do something, to really start something, to get something underway, a change that you want to make, something that you really want to manifest, a creative project that you want to start, or a collaboration that you want to be part of. And you really see it coming together inside your mind, and the Ace of Wands tends to represent that initial piece of fire that you need within you to get things started and to get things underway. And you won't necessarily have an idea in mind particularly of where it's going to end up, but you know that something wants to happen. And sometimes there are those phases you have in life where it doesn't seem like it's going to be possible to really embrace this spark and make it grow into something. And that can be very challenging. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to preface it by saying that a couple of days ago, out of nowhere, I actually started writing an ebook. And I don't know where the energy, where the drive for that came from. I just said to my boyfriend while we were out, when we get home, I need to start writing a book. And he kind of laughed knowingly, and he was like, yeah, okay. And I got home and 4,500 words just poured out of me, and then yesterday another 1,500 words poured out of me, and I managed to keep it along the same vein. It's kind of a mishmash of advice and spiritual counselling, but also my personal experiences and how I've tied them in together, and just basically it's a book of words of love. And I don't know where the desire came from, but the spark was nurtured in some way. I got over my emotional resistance. I got in and opened my laptop, and I was like, okay, just get rid of any notion of what it's going to be like. Get rid of fantasizing about the finished product, thinking inside your mind that it's going to be exactly like it is in your head. It's not going to be that way. Release that, release the vision, and just go with the moment. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to do, particularly when they're highly creative and they have an idea in their mind of something that they want to create, something that they really want to get into. I think that it's difficult to let go of the vision. I think that the vision sometimes overtakes, doesn't it? That idea of the way it's all going to go and how perfect it is in your mind. And if you've got a great imagination, if you've got a very potent imagination, then the vision sometimes becomes toxic. It's great up to a point because it gives you that inspiration, it gives you that drive that you need, but if you become too fixated upon the vision of the finished product, and you become too fixated over the idea of what it's going to be like when it's completed and how great it's going to be, then the reality of beginning and nurturing that spark by actually beginning is terrifying, because you know that in reality it's not going to be the way it was in your head. Reality is going to change the structure of what's in the imagination, even by putting brush to canvas for that one moment, by putting pen to paper for that one moment, by putting the bow to the violin, whatever it is you're doing, however you want to express yourself creatively, whatever the project is, once you begin it in the tangible realm, there are going to be changes, inevitably. Life is going to change it. The outcome is going to be altered by the unfolding moment. So you need to release a little bit of the power that that vision has over you so that you can even begin at all. And some people with these great ideas in their heads procrastinate for years because they cannot let go of the vision. They are petrified that if they start painting that canvas, the painting is not going to look like the idea in the person's mind. And it's not, but that's okay. That is okay, because what reality is going to bring forth is also going to be exciting, and what reality is going to bring forth is also going to be worth it. So I think what I did was I overcame my emotional resistance to the idea of starting a book by releasing the vision of what it was going to be like. I just got rid of my expectations. I took them down to the baseline, so that there was no idea that I was gripping onto too much. There was no idea that had so much of a hold over me that I felt that I couldn't begin. And I began. And I think that's what people need to do. We need to just do it, you know? We need to just do it. And sometimes that can be so difficult when we have this idea that if we try and do it, it's going to mutate into something that we didn't quite want, or it's not going to be exactly what we had in mind. We're going to fail. We're not going to look as good as we would hope to look in front of our peers. Whatever it is that's stopping you, just take that pressure off and begin. Just begin. You know, you don't need to do a mammoth amount in one day. You don't need to organise a time during which you're going to finish it. None of that matters. Just begin so that you can offer yourself that power in the tangible realm. to start something and just see where it goes and enjoy the journey, value the journey. Don't worry so much about the arriving. The journey is where all the lessons are anyway, and it's where all the experiences are sown, and it's how you really evolve. If you could arrive straight away without doing any of that work, you wouldn't be half the person that you are now. So relish that journey. Don't see it as an inconvenience. I think that's something that I've done a few times in my life, and that's prevented me from starting. And I was really moved the other day to put something on my Facebook page. I read a quotation years ago by Sylvia Plath, the poet, and she said that when she started a poem and she started writing it out of her, she said that she knew that if she couldn't get a table out of it, she'd be happy to get a chair or a toy out of it. And what she meant was that if she begins a project and it turns out that it's not going to be as epic or as grand or as sweeping or as all-encompassing as she imagined in her mind, that's okay. She's still going to produce something out of it, and it's still going to be meaningful, and it's still going to be a part of her creative life, and it's going to be a snapshot of where she was during that time in her creative life. A lot of the time I think people attack themselves for procrastinating. I do. I attack myself for procrastinating. And I've often equated procrastination with laziness. And I think a lot of people equate their procrastination with laziness, and we attack ourselves for the way we procrastinate, the way we put our foot down against the creative endeavour. We stop ourselves and then we tell ourselves that it's because we're lazy, it's because we're no good, it's because we're failures. But actually what I'm coming to realise more and more is that procrastination and perfectionism are linked in with each other so closely. And this is something that a tarot reader brought to my attention when I was concerned about my own procrastination and my own self-sabotage. She noted that, in fact, I am somewhat of a perfectionist, and it's that fear of failure, that fear of the reality of getting it wrong, or the reality of the hard slog of it, which prevents me. It's not because I'm lazy, it's because I want it to be as great as it can be. I've almost taken the vision and I've placed it under glass, and the vision has ceased to be healthy and inspiring and exciting and invigorating and exhilarating, and it started being toxic. It started being something that's nailing me to the wall, it's holding me back, it's making me stagnant, because I'm worshipping the vision, I'm worshipping that perfect time in the future. I am absolutely envisioning every pixel of it, and as a result I'm too scared to start. I've terrified myself with my own desire. I've terrified myself with my own desire to succeed and achieve and accomplish, so I'm not starting. So nowadays I just think to myself, if I can't get a table out of it, I can get a chair out of it, or I can get a toy out of it, you know? But I'm not going to let the realm of the imagination, which so harmoniously dances with the realm of the material, actually hold power. I'm going to embrace the material. I'm going to embrace the idea that if I have this amazing book in my head, I have to start putting some words down. Okay, there has to be a beginning. And the beginning is not this glorious place full of accolades and praise where I finished it and it's this great big magnum opus and everyone's delighted for me. No, the beginning is hard. The beginning is the baseline. The beginning is not glorious or glamorous. It's not filled with accomplishment. It is the slog. It is the unfolding moment. It's you in your room with your laptop on and a cup of tea, and you have no idea where it's going to go, and you know, you have all of those fears and insecurities which you can't do away with. You know, that fear drives you, so you don't really want to do away with it. You just want to make sure that it doesn't have reins over you. Fear, like the imagination, the vision, whatever the goal, fear also has that ability to be two-tone. It has that ability to be a complete dichotomy. If you use your fear, if you harness your fear, if you ride your fear like a power horse, then it's good. If you let your fear rein you in, if you let your fear prevent you from starting, then it becomes unhealthy. So it's really all about perception, right? It's all about our consciousness. It's about how we interpret the feelings we're having. The feelings themselves are malleable, they're pliable. We can work with them or we can work against them. We can resist or we can allow. And I think when I started writing that book the other day, and I'm going to continue to write it, I'm going to go home and write some more soon, I think I just decided to allow. I decided not to resist. I decided that I was not going to hold myself to the duty, to the obligation of building a table. I may not build a table. It might be a chair, it might be a toy, but I'm going to be okay with that. I'm going to be okay with that, because that is what the universe wants from me at this point. That's how much energy I've got. That's the resource that I've got. And whatever I produce is going to be a snapshot of the creative life within me as I complete it. And there will always be more creative energy. There will always be more juice. There'll always be more flow for the next thing. I'm never going to run out. You know, I'm breathing, I'm in my physical body, I'm in the physical realm, therefore I must have the creative spark. It is within. And every so often when you get to harness one, you need to make sure that you don't beat yourself up about what you're going to do with it or where it's going to go. Just harness it. Allow the imagination and the realm of the material to dance with each other, because it's a marriage of thunder, and it really can go to so many glorious places, but you have to be unafraid. You have to have that base moment where you're like, okay, now I begin. Now I begin, and it's just me and this moment. It's just me and the pen, or whatever it is, you know. It's just me and the paint. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to start in this moment, and I'm going to release the hold that the vision has over me in favour of embracing the moment, because I am married to it. Nothing else matters. I have control over nothing else except this moment. Do I start or do I stagnate? And that's all I wanted to say. Blessed be. Much love. Thank you for listening. And if you have a creative spark within, just get a big blanket and put it around and give it a cup of cocoa and tell it that everything is going to be okay, and that you are going to do what you can do to help it materialise and bring it into being, because you deserve that.